Major update on Sasha Banks' Mercedes Moné. We can pretty much now confirm where she is headed, and it's imminent, much more sooner rather than later. Major update, Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, coming up in this upload. Also, we're going to talk Brock Lesnar, a huge update on Brock currently being erased from WWE. He just got pulled, removed from even more WWE content. We'll go over it. We'll talk all about it in this upload. And two WWE superstars recently conducting separate interviews, but both receiving backlash from a lot of fans, more specifically AEW fans, that feel like these two WWE superstars took unnecessary jabs over to AEW. Now, I should say these are two WWE stars that just came from AEW, so that's probably why this is a bigger deal to a lot of fans. I'll let you guys hear what they said, and you guys can decide. Are a lot of fans trying to make something out of a whole lot of nothing? Or is there substance behind the backlash? Could they have said things a lot differently? Maybe showed a little bit more respect over to Tony Khan. He did give them chances over there and a whole lot of money. I don't know. You guys decide. We'll go over it. And the backlash from these two WWE superstars and their recent interviews. But first, you guys can see I got a fresh coffee behind me. Just got done finished being brewed from the Amplified Monster 5000 coffee maker. But it hasn't even been topped off yet. I mean, that's how fresh this coffee is, because we need a fresh coffee to talk about our focal point subject of this upload. The top story, which is VKM. And when people say it looks like it's only going to get worse from here on out for Vince, that's an understatement, because now even his partner in crime, figuratively and literally, John Laurinaitis, people power, is turning on Vince McMahon. John Laurinaitis is throwing VKM under the bus and instructing the bus driver to drive over him, put it in reverse, drive back over him, back in drive, and repeat the process until Laurinaitis runs out of money and the bus driver can go about his way. VKM is being decimated under that bus by John Laurinaitis. Vince is in a whirl of So I need a coffee. I'm going to go over exact detail. I'm going to tell you guys what we're talking about. But this story, and if you thought it couldn't get worse for VKM, he is now under federal investigation. So this isn't just like, a few lawyers are getting together and they're looking for a big payday. No, this is now a federal investigation for VKM. And when you have one of the key components like Laurinaitis now cooperating to try to cut that plea, to try to cut that deal and pin it all on VKM, wow, this is not looking good for the McMahons. Let me top this coffee off, guys. We'll talk all about it. Johnny Laurinaitis. Wait till you hear what his lawyer said, man. But wait, there's more later tonight, not tomorrow or sometime this weekend, but later tonight. I hope to have the Smackdown review up for you guys to check out. So that'll be tonight, Smackdown's review. So it's a triple upload day on the channel, a big day on the channel. I appreciate all of you guys for checking out any or all of the content. I appreciate you guys smashing that up, helping out the algorithm. And of course, my channel members, everybody with a gold card, who I call my board of directors. I appreciate the appreciation. And to Clint Green with the super thanks recently, chucking a coffee at the channel in a regular upload. I appreciate that very much. To JR9 Gaming coming through big time with the NXT report for this week. Man, Dijak chucking people off trailers, bro. Why do we not see that on the main roster? That's the type of, Dijak and who was it? Gacy just destroying each other all around the arena, up on roofs, on top of trailer trucks, wherever they were, throughout the show. That's the type of entertainment, storytelling, production we should be getting on the main roster. Unbelievable. All right, so let's get into this, guys. Let me get a swig of coffee. I'm going to need it. VKM. The situation just got a whole lot worse for Vincent Kennedy. So, first and foremost, as I already alluded to, Vince McMahon is currently under now federal investigation. You gotta believe this is, a lot of this stems from his relationship with Don Trump, first and foremost, right? I mean, they know that this is a big donor for Trump. This is a big ally for Trump. This is a big revenue source for Don Trump and his campaign. This is where VKM will get into a sticky situation. Probably a poor choice of words, by the way. This is where he's going to be backed into a corner. Just the relationship with Don Trump. This is going to put Vince McMahon already into a massive deficit that is going to call for a federal investigation. And sure enough, here we are. Federal investigation. Last year, he had his house raided, apparently. A massive search warrant was conducted, and they believe that a lot of info was gathered from that. And a lot of what you're seeing and hearing now is from that. So, remains to be seen where that goes, but it's not going to be good. We all know that. This is a federal investigation now. It just went up to another 10 level. It's basically it's a 6-alarm fire now, right? It created its own category. But even more shocking than anything is that John Laurinaitis, literally the partner in crime with this whole allegation from the jump, John Laurinaitis is now throwing Vince McMahon under the bus. His lawyer recently put out a statement, I should say. This is Edward Brennan, Laurinaitis' lawyer. Brennan says, and I'll try to get the exact quote for you. He says, Mr. Laurinaitis denies the allegations in the misguided complaint and will be vigorously defending these charges in court, not the media. Like the plaintiff, Mr. Laurinaitis is a victim in this case, not a predator. The truth will come out. When asked for further clarification as to how Laurinaitis was also a victim, Laurinaitis' lawyer Brennan says, and I quote, read the allegations, read the federal statute, power, control, employment supervisory capacity, dictatorial sexual demands with repercussions if not met. Count how many times in the complaint Vince exerts control over both of them. So dude is telling you our defense is as follows. We're throwing VKM under the bus. Dude, that's wild, man. Instead of just going down with the ship, it's being described. You guys could look this up. It was being described internally. I got this from an actual report. I don't have it in front of me, but it was being described as rats jumping off the sinking ship. Right? You could do it honorably and just go down with the ship. You know you done did wrong. You effed up. Or you can jump off that thing, save yourself, and watch the person that you did it with, just watch them crumble. Laurinaitis is going to go with option B, the latter. You got to have more coffee to get through this type of absurdity. But on one hand, I totally get it, right? But BC, that's the only chance he has of saving himself, right? He's going to have to throw VKM under the bus. Trust me, I get that Laurinaitis is royally screwed. And this is absolutely probably his only Hail Mary chance to get out as unscathed as possible. I get it. On the flip side, it's going to be very hard for people like BC and especially a grand jury or just the average common Joe Schmo walking down the road about to get a coffee and go to his construction job. It's going to be very hard for an individual to believe that John Laurinaitis was a victim in all of this. The dude is 61 years old. he also had a massive position of power within WWE. He wasn't just an employee. He was a person of power in that company. He was absolutely tied to the hip with VKM for decades. And if you read the details in the report from this young lady and her attorney, a lot of those deeds were done in Laurinaitis' office, his office. And we're supposed to now believe that he's a victim. He's distraught. Vince would walk into his office and say, you gotta pound that poontang if you want to keep your employment. You want a job? You're gonna pound this poontang I found for you. You're telling me Laurinaitis was distraught, in tears, doesn't know what he's gonna do. The only way he can keep his job is if Vince McMahon keeps bringing in these young little hotties. He's gotta pound some poontang to keep his job. And every night Laurinaitis goes home, he's distraught. Can't even look at himself in the mirror. The only way I can keep my job, man, I gotta keep having sex with these beautiful young ladies. Damn it, Vince! You're telling me this dude couldn't, here's a wild thought, 61-year-old man, leave the job? He couldn't leave he's throwing VKM under the bus only when the temperature got hot enough that that's the only play he can put into the game now. That's the only play to be called. He waited until the situation got to this point, and now he's gonna turn on Vince. He couldn't have walked away. When I was a teenager, I walked away from jobs like McDonald's, for instance, or stocking shelves, or whatever the case may have been, without a penny in the bank. Didn't know how I was going to pay a bill, get gas in the tank, nothing. Didn't know, but I just knew that was not the scenario for me. That was not where I needed to be, should be, not where I wanted to be. That's a kid. There are people who had careers for 10 or just jobs, not even careers, for decades, and they get fired, or they know that this is no longer the situation they want to be in, and they leave. They don't have a lot in the bank. They don't know how they're going to pay the bills or get food on the table for their family of 4, 5, 6 individuals. But they know that they believe in themselves and that it will work out. And this dude that has gotten millions of dollars from WWE is in a position of this type of power. This dude cannot stand up and say, I'm out. Instead, he's the victim. And he's right there pounding poontang with Vincent Kennedy. And now, all of a sudden, revelation. I was the victim. It's the only way I could keep my job. You could walk out, right? Clock out one night and not come back. That's what you could have done. If you were so distraught, you could have told individuals like your lawyer Brennan, Edward Brennan, whatever this dude's name is. You could have told him, hey, this is the only way I can keep my job. This ain't right? I mean, I don't feel good about this when I go home. No, he didn't do that. Only now, when he was named in this whole suit, only now he's telling his lawyer, come to think of it, now that I'm no longer with WWE anyway, you know what? I was a victim in all this. I didn't want to pound that poontang. This is wrong. No, I get it, by the way. But you see, it doesn't matter because no matter what, it's at the top. Vince should have never done any of that. No matter how anybody else acted afterwards, Vince is the primary source to blame here. No question. And he's going to be. Believe me, when this all gets levied, McMahon, this is the one time he's not going to be able to kick out at 2. He's down for the count on this one. He's looking up at the lights. Trust me. But to just act like Laurinaitis is a simplistic victim in all of this, when we've heard stories about Laurinaitis for years and years and years, and that's the position he's going to take? A rat jumping off that sinking ship to save himself. Whew. Not buying that one. Not at all. But it's a smart strategic move from his lawyer for sure. It's the only way that you can help Laurinaitis' cause. But I think Laurinaitis absolutely should be held responsible to a lot as well. A lot. And for VKM, man, this is where it's going to get a lot even worse, is because the lawyer for Laurinaitis, now that he's already turned his back on him, thrown him under the bus, now they're going to try to get more individuals that worked with Laurinaitis and VKM and can pretty much, they can collaborate their stories together and say, yeah, no, that's how Vince, yeah, that's absolutely how Vince was. What Johnny's saying is correct. And a lot of people have vendettas with VKM, obviously, right? A lot of people, but they just knew there's no way, there's nothing you can say. I mean, Vince controls pro wrestling. I mean, he's a billionaire. And most billionaires in this world, they get away with anything. So even if you try to say something, you're squashed like a bug and you're probably never heard from again. But now with this Laurinaitis thing, it opens the door, and this lawyer's like, no, we're going to talk to other people that Laurinaitis believes can help out the cause. And this is where they're just going to stack on Vincent Kennedy. So this dude is royally screwed. That's why I say he's not kicking out at 2.5 this time. This dude's done. You don't have to put a stipulation on this match. Hell in a Cell, falls count anywhere, no DQ. This is a straight up match where Vince McMahon is flat on his back. He ain't even getting up. Medical team's going to have to come in, stretcher this dude to the back in this match, because Vince is done. Ain't no coming back from this. There's words going around. I used it myself, like we're about to talk about Brock. You know, he's being erased from WWE. They're distancing themselves, right? Slim Jim to Endeavor to Netflix. We just talked about Netflix. I think that was a few hours ago as well. We talked about Netflix. Their executive chief of content is talking about Vince, and you talk about distancing. We talk all about it in the upload I put up a few hours ago. Check it out. But everybody erasing, distancing themselves from Vince. Guys, that's not temporarily. That's for good. I mean, this dude just went out in disgrace. Disgrace. You know, this isn't just like some texting or sexting, right? Like he's 21 again. All right. You know, people are going to just laugh at him and be like, oh, what a weird dude. That's it. But when you cross the line and you're bringing her into the office and now it becomes a physical, like a real physical thing, that's where all of this is no longer, I mean, just because you're a billionaire does not allow you to do these things. You have to think even smarter than the average Joe Schmo because you are a billionaire. You have to watch your every move even more because you are a billionaire. But a lot of times, most of the times, what I've noticed is these billionaires, they feel like they're invincible. And Vincent Kennedy McMahon, well into his 70s, was pretty much invincible. Now he's got to pay that piper, man, and it is one heck of a piper. Man, Laurinaitis, that's wild. Unreal, man. You know, and if you're fans and stuff, like BC and most of you, you just want it done so we can just focus on the future. It just feels like that, you know, like a dark cloud that's over WWE and they just can't shake it. Now, WrestleMania season just imploded, right? You got injuries, you got this lawsuit, HHH. It's just creatively bankrupt. It's just like everything is just weird match-wise. Things are having to be switched up because of injuries. HHH is being taken away from things because of other bigger things. And then he already lost the card anyway. The undercard wasn't even panned out before Rumble, and that's a mistake. So just everything is just... The company was on such a good trajectory, man. Everybody was feeling good, and then this story broke, and it feels like WWE has not been able to shake it yet. I know it's only been a week, but you know, if this just keeps getting piled upon and these Vince stories keep coming over the next several weeks, months, and maybe even years, it may take a long time for WWE to get out from underneath this dark cloud. We're hoping that's not the case, man. But just giving you guys a heads up, man. People power, John Laurinaitis. They're doing the switcheroo. Plot twist. Mega heel turn. He is, or you could look at it as he's turning babyface. I guess Vince would be the ultimate heel. Laurinaitis turning babyface? I don't know, but it's a turn. And he is throwing VKM under the bus. That's massive, and that is going to shake the entire investigation to the core. We'll see what happens going forward. That's the big story, guys. I appreciate you guys allowing me to top off a coffee and have a few swigs, because coffee is needed for these type of... I mean, it's just wild, man. You just don't know what VKM was thinking. I mean, a person in that type of power with everything to lose. Everything. Nothing to gain at all. I don't... Moving on. I think that's the best thing we could do, man. All right, I'll get this out now so we could just tie it up into that conversation so we can truly move on. Brock Lesnar continues to be pretty much erased from the company himself, because you guys know he was originally... at first, not by name, but then it became confirmed, like literally within hours, that he was involved in this as well. Vince was going to pawn this young lady off to Brock to get him to return to the company. The good news is it just stayed, I believe anyway, with Brock and this young lady. I believe it was just like text or whatever. I don't believe they ever actually met up. So that's going to save Brock in the long run. That's why a lot of us in the know, we can't say for sure that he's removed completely from WWE. Once this whole thing shakes up, I do believe Brock's name will be cleared, because again, I don't believe there was ever any interaction. But it's enough to have Sable say, peace, deuces, oozes. I'm sure Sable was not happy about this. Some people were saying maybe Sable was like the pawn in Vince's game back in the day, and that's how Sable went over to Brock. I don't know about that. That's what a lot of people are kind of going towards. Because Sable was with Mark Marrow, guys. She wasn't originally with Brock. Mark Marrow, I feel so bad for the dude. Totally got screwed over. It happens in the wrestling business all the time. Lita did it to Matt Hardy, went with Edge when Matt was at home recovering from an injury. Lita and Edge Adam Copeland were still on the road. Poor Matt Hardy got screwed over. HHH, China, deeply in love with Paul Levesque. And Paul Levesque had one storyline with Stephanie, and that's all Paul needed, man. You give Paul any opening into the McMahons, he's taking it. And sparked up a relationship instantly, and China was never the same, actually. So it happens, but Sable ended up with Brock Lesnar. I don't know how she's feeling about that, though. But again, no, from what we see in the report, they never actually linked up. But Vince was absolutely willing to pimp this girl out to Brock to get him back. Wild, man. So anyway, to tie that up into this story, Brock Lesnar, because he is tied into it, continues to be removed from basically everything. I was one of the first ones to tell you guys what I was hearing, which was Brock Lesnar was removed from the Rumble. I was literally the first person to break that, and I believe Fightful hours later cooperated with that story. But it's more than that. He's being removed from the chamber. That's official. Doesn't look like he's going to touch WrestleMania. And recently, over the last 12 hours, removed from WWE's, I think this is from 2K, the Super Card game. So they literally they pulled Brock Lesnar from this Super Card game from 2K. So, I mean, that's huge insight. They don't want this dude attached to anything WWE. So it is more of a temporary, for now, erasement of Brock Lesnar. Whereas Vince is totally being Brock, I can say temporarily until more gets figured out. He is also being erased from WWE. So that's the latest. He's also being pulled from games and probably everything upcoming that he was going to be a part of. Moving on. Sasha Banks. You guys want to talk Banks? Swig of coffee. This is a pro Sasha Banks channel, pro Bray Wyatt channel. The channel was based on those two individuals. So, the past few years have been a little rough. Obviously, with Bray Wyatt, much love and respect to the big man upstairs. Into Sasha Banks, the last few years have just not gone according to how we would have liked. No more other than Mercedes more than anybody else, right? She would have had these last few years a little differently. If she had it her way, WWE would have been treating her with the utmost respect. She would have been in the best of situations and had the best of booking. and she was just not respected like she should have been. So I absolutely commend her walking out with Naomi, Trinity Fatu, and finding her own path. And been following along on her journey as well. But that journey is about to reach a destination. Pretty much we can confirm this. This is big. Sasha Banks is... That's my drum roll. AEW bound. Alternative Entertainment Wrestling. A lot of people did think that Okada is the big announcement from Tony Khan next week. I do believe we talked about this also. I told you it was a big upload earlier. We put up a few hours ago. We also talk a lot in depth about Okada and where he's going to land. But I'll give you a little teaser now. I do believe Okada is also AEW bound. But now a lot of people are speculating that this announcement, and he's made a big announcement before where we thought it was Sasha and it wasn't. It was like something that should have been in a press release. So I don't even know how many people are going to care about this big announcement from Tony Khan next Wednesday. But he's trying to pop a rating, so he's back to the big announcements. If you guys don't know, Dynamite just pulled 818,000 viewers, down from 837 the previous week. So they're once again going backwards, back to that 750 area. They're just above 800. So he's trying very hard to pop a decent rating. At this point, a million's out of the question. But, if he can just get back to that old school 950, it'll be a little W for Tony Khan. So he's going to do the big announcement, and now people are speculating that finally they're going to get the Sasha Banks announcement. Mercedes Moné signing with AEW. Whether that's the big announcement or not, we can pretty much confirm. All reputable sources, and even my own people, are hearing that Sasha Banks has signed with AEW. So it's imminent. It's sooner rather than later. She is showing up to AEW. Now, I say all, basically confirmed, right? We can pretty much confirm. I'm using those phrases because I said this about CM Punk not showing up to Survivor Series. And I mean, every reputable source was saying the same thing, my people included. And he showed up. Now, to our credit, Punk admits himself in an interview, he was literally texting his family on the way to the arena while the show was going on, because his family didn't even know that he was showing up. So that's how secret they kept it. So they definitely threw everybody off the beaten path. But, I don't want to confirm this until I actually see it. But when I hear every reputable person, or that I look at as reputable, and my people are saying the same thing, yeah, it's happening. So now it's just about how you feel about it, right? Is that the best position for her? Is it the most eyeballs? No, right? We know that. This was a post-Royal Rumble Raw, no football competition at all, with people were hoping for major storylines for WrestleMania to develop. So we knew they were going to pull around a 1-8-1-9. They just clinched 1-9, barely, but they just got to 1-9, guys. In the rating for Raw. And again, Dynamite, the flagship for AEW, gets 800,000. So, even if you double Dynamite's rating, there's still hundreds of thousands of viewers away from WWE's flagship, right? 1-9 and an 800,000. So, no, it's not going to be the most eyeballs. You're hoping that Sasha Banks will bring in a whole platoon of new fans, casuals, or WWE fans that were big on Sasha Banks, and now they're going to see Mercedes Moné. That's what the hope is. The problem is Tony Khan has not been known to do this accurately, right? It doesn't matter if it's CM Punk that'll pop a little bit of a rating when he shows up, and then all of a sudden it starts to sink lower and lower as the weeks progress. It's because he didn't really do anything with CM Punk that was going to captivate storyline-wise. It's like, oh, CM Punk, we saw his debut. And they're not doing anything with him. We can pretty much miss Wednesday nights. We can miss Saturday nights. Right? Tony Khan just didn't capitalize. When they started Collision, for instance, and they revolved the show around CM Punk. If you guys remember, I said, now you have to start. This is the very first ever Collision. You're revolving this show around Punk. You have to have a massive storyline to make people tune in next week and as we go on, right? They cannot just set down the remote when the show is over and go, that was something. I don't need to tune in next week. Maybe I will if I'm not doing anything else. But they didn't. They just put Punk in a 6-man tag with FTR. And they just went off the air after they won. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the first ever Collision. No cliffhanger, no big storyline with Punk, no big storyline, period. And then you wonder why the ratings started diminishing instantly the next week and so on. With Punk, you could say with Adam Copeland recently, guys. Edge. Adam Copeland shows up. This is a massive star from WWE. A massive name. One of the biggest names in pro wrestling history. Edge shows up. And when you say didn't even move the needle with the ratings going forward, I mean they went backwards on several occasions. So he brings in the names, gives them a lot of money, and now they're there to have dream matches, I guess. But what's the plan with them? Are you investing time and energy and resources into their storyline development to make your audience care? Or are you just like, I don't have a plan. I just signed them and we have a good roster, so they're just going to have matches. We'll put a little story behind it, obviously, right? We'll do Christian and Edge again. Remember that? You guys remember that from WWE. We'll do that again with an AEW twist. I mean, these are real concerns, right? Sasha shows up. You're hoping that's going to move the needle. I say all the time, of course, I just said this is a pro Sasha channel, right? I feel she's the best female wrestler on the planet. I just do. She's everybody's best match, or at least one of theirs. We go over it all the time. Everybody has amazing matches with Sasha. Well, what's the common denominator? Sasha. That makes her. It doesn't matter if people want to disagree or not. The facts tell us that Sasha's amazing because her matches tell us that. How she elevates everybody she's working with. She could have a match with a sack of potatoes, and those potatoes come out looking like gold. Superstars. The potatoes will sign a contract later that night. That's how good the match is. So there's no doubt that she's going to turn heads. There's no doubt she's a needle mover. But if the company doesn't meet her halfway, giving her the stage is one thing. But working with her, having something for her, the booking and the creativity that is going to support and back her, that matters, man. That matters big time. People that blame Edge for poor ratings, that's not on Edge, man. Edge is still the same big star. But the audience told you, well, there's no reason to really tune in. I don't have to watch Wednesday nights or Friday nights or Saturday nights because Edge isn't in anything that I would need to see. If I'm not doing anything, I'll catch it. But Edge isn't involved in anything I need. CM Punk was never involved in anything you need to see. That's where we have to flip the switch. It has to be something massive. We talk about the Attitude Era all the time. Guys, the NWO was must see. You had to see it. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what you were doing, man. You could be out with a girlfriend, man. Obviously, that takes precedent over pro wrestling, right? Nah, not in the Attitude Era. You told your girlfriend, by the way, I gotta just sit right here. I'll be back in 2 hours. You were going to find a TV and you had that remote on the last channel button, right? Because you were flicking over Raw because you had to see Vince and Stone Cold and what Stone Cold was going to do to Vince's Corvette, or what was he going to drive to the arena in, literally a beer truck to the ring, or was he going to stun Mr. McMahon? Was he getting arrested again? You switch it over to WCW. Who is joining the NWO? Damn, they just turned on WCW. Must see. Must see. Even D-Generation X in their antics, you had to see what they were going to stoop to. It's must-see television. You know, a lot of the Bloodline recently, that storyline catapulted. A lot of fans came back for that. The segments on SmackDown they were pulling in really good ratings. Because with Sami Zayn and the storyline was back. Even if just for a moment, you had to see what was going on with Sami and the Bloodline. There's no reason the females can't have that, man. Sasha Banks can't have something like that. You have to get creative now. Otherwise, this is what's going to happen. And I love Sasha. She's going to show up. All the headlines, whoa, Sasha's Mercedes Moné is AEW, right? Is all elite. It'll catch some headlines. Maybe they'll pop a nice little rating, right? Maybe 950 plus, maybe. And as the weeks go on, you're going to start to see it go right back to 875, 850, 825. Maybe even Sasha's segments will just be kind of stagnant. And people will say, well, Sasha's not a big draw, see? Well, I would ask the question, did AEW meet her halfway? Otherwise, it's the same situation with Punk, Edge, and everybody else that has gone over to AEW. I don't care if it's from a Miro Rusev to a Malachi Black, Aleister Black, to an Andrade, to a Buddy Murphy or a Buddy Matthews. I don't care if it's a Paige or a Tony Storm, a CM Punk or an Edge. Mercedes Moné will only go as far as TK will allow her to go. Booking and creativity, storylines. Give the audience a reason to care. Otherwise, whoa, Mercedes and AEW. That's it. That's the headline. They don't have to tune in tomorrow or next week or whatever to see what's next because they know she's just going to be in a match. Maybe she has a little feud, right? She's been getting attacked backstage. She has a problem with Tony Storm. Got to do better than that, man. Anyway, appreciate the extra minutes that BC can talk about this because I'm a big Mercedes Moné Sasha Banks supporter, and these are just little concerns that I have that can be addressed before TK landed Sasha Mercedes Moné. That's awesome. Now it's TK's time right now to get some creative minds with him. Put yourself in a room, shut the door, lock it, get your posty notes, your posty bads, and your Sharpie pens or crayons. I don't know what Tony Khan's got in his little drawers, but get out your posty notes, your pens, and your crayons and start getting creative. This is a big gain for AEW if they land Sasha Banks, and that's what it looks like. Don't screw it up. Otherwise, you're just adding more individuals with big names to your company, but with little effect. Moving on, speaking of AEW, two former talents of AEW that are now current WWE superstars, both conducted separate interviews, both receiving backlash for supposedly taking jabs over at AEW. So I'll get a sip of coffee if you don't mind. We'll talk about it. All right, so first we'll go Jade Cargill and her comments. And after the backlash, Jade Cargill absolutely, she rocked right back to those tribalist fans that had a problem with these comments. So we'll go to Jade's comments as well, her response to the backlash. So keep track. So this is what Jade Cargill said in a recent interview right after the Rumble, I believe. And I quote from former AEW talent and current WWE superstar Jade Cargill. She says, "I think that the veterans in the locker room prepared me for the grander stage at WWE." So right from the jump, you see, I don't even have to tell you. It's right. I'll say it again. I think that the veterans in the locker room, talking about AEW, prepared me for the grander stage at WWE. She says, "I got a great experience there being thrown in the water and being able to swim and survive. It prepared me for the big stage that WWE has and the locker room, the phenomenal staff that WWE has. They have a front office like no other. I'm just excited to be here." Okay, so right there, you guys understand. Even if you're like, BC, this is like making something out of nothing, these fans. I hear you. It's a real thing, though. Jade Cargill had to respond. That's why it's a story. Not like BC made it the story. But you can see where people are picking up, right? Like, could you have said this differently, as they're saying? Was it needed or justified to say it this way? That's what these fans are saying. Preparing me for the grander stage at WWE. Now, we know WWE is the top of the mountain. That's understood, right? We've said it on this channel many times. And there's many things that AEW and the TNAs and all these other companies do that not just in terms of numbers, but it just makes them feel Bush League, right? It makes them feel just so much lesser than, unfortunately. There are absolutely those times. But for Jade to have the run that she did in AEW, and for Tony Khan to put that title on her and keep her undefeated and pay her a lot of money doing it, that's where a lot of fans are like, really, dude? Did you have to say the grander stage twice? The veterans in that locker room prepared me for the grander stage at WWE. And then a line later, she says, I got great experience being thrown in the water. It prepared me for the big stage at WWE. It prepared me for the big stage. That's a quote. Saying that's obviously the little stage, right? That's AEW is the stepping stone and WWE is the big stage. Now, of course, there's fact in that. Again, WWE is in a whole nother league compared to any other wrestling promotion. We know that. AEW pulls 800,000 viewers for their flagship Wednesday show. WWE just hit 1.9. I understand. Post-Rumble, WrestleMania season, no football I get it. And they're most likely not going to hit a 1.9 next week, but they hit a 1.9 and AEW's at an 800. That's over 1 million viewers that are tuning into one program and not the other. So I get it. I'm just saying I can kind of see why some people are like, oh, you got to call us little. All of this, they're the big stage jargon. Not needed. I can see why some people would be upset. Not enough to type 140 characters and be that pissed off about it. So I totally understand that. But I could see why some people would be like, that's probably could have been worded differently. And then she says, WWE has a front office like no other. Like, you just came from this promotion though. You know what I mean? Like, you can't maybe say that definitely differently. They have a front office like no other. And CM Punk recently gave a line almost similar to that. We'll go over that in a minute. But because all of this backlash came in, obviously, from that, Jade Cargill was not having it. This is not the first time that Jade Cargill has jabbed back at fans who are tribalistic. And Jade Cargill says the following. This is a quote in response to the backlash. Jade Cargill says, I'm going to say this and I'm done with it. I'm proud of where I came from and I am proud of where I am. All that making up stuff, fake pages, reporters do in between is not what I'm about. I do the work. I keep my mouth closed. Stop making something out of nothing. I literally go to work, do the work, and keep my head down. Yet here we are with people that think they know me. I don't talk to anyone. Have a great day, and always be great. Big bicep emoji. So she's saying just stop. She literally says stop making something out of nothing. So it's in the eye of the beholder. Again, I don't think this is any issue that people would make a big deal enough to start typing outrage. But that's what, a lot of fans, they have time. And a lot of fans are not happy that these talents went over to WWE when they believe that Tony Khan invested a lot in them. And then you say several times, that's the big stage, alluding to obviously that's the big stage, that's the little stage. That's a front office like no other. Well, that is just a front office over there. So, it's definitely tribalistic. But you got to remember too, I think people don't understand this. I said this from the jump. Jade Cargill was always a WWE superstar, even in AEW. Like, you just look at her and you listen to what she says, and she was made for WWE. She knew that. WWE knew that. I got to believe Tony Khan knew that. Jade Cargill was a WWE superstar, even in AEW. And now that she's there, I mean, everything, she is going to be one of those individuals that flies that WWE flag proudly. Now, switching gears over to CM Punk, because that's another superstar, recently did an interview, and he's catching some backlash too. He says, first of all, just about his injury and being on the shelf already after one match. I'll give you a lot of this interview. Hold on. He says, this is a quote from CM Punk, just certain looks from certain people that I get, and I just start crying again. Cody's one of them. He's such a great dude. The locker room is everything the business is supposed to be. It's everything the business was sold to me as being, and it's remarkable. And that's why I'm so sad. I'm not sad that I hurt my arm. I'm sad I'm temporarily out of this amazing situation. He is calling his WWE time back so far an amazing situation, and he says this locker room. Now, you guys know all of the drama in the last locker room. He says this locker room is everything the business is supposed to be. It's everything the business was sold to me as being. And it's remarkable. So this led a lot of fans to go, what are you trying to say, man? We know you had issues in that locker room. But don't drag the whole AEW locker room down like we're some sloppy shop. They could be, by the way. They could be. I'm saying that's how a lot of fans are looking at it, right? Like, did you have to say it like that? Same thing they're upset with Jade about. But we're in one of those worlds where everybody's upset at something. If you don't say something exactly how they would have liked it, they're angry, right? So it's in the eye of the beholder. I told you guys that in a cold open teaser. We're going to go over what was said, tell you why the backlash is there from a lot of fans, and you guys decide if we're making a whole lot of something out of a whole lot of nothing, or is there substance? Is there a reason? Because these are kind of jabs. You have to be more considerate. Because you were just in AEW, do you have to say things like that? Now with Punk, they didn't end amicably, right? Amicably, I can speak. They didn't end on the greatest of terms, so you can see Punk maybe throwing a jab or two there and there. It can happen. But with Jade, she got more backlash because a lot of people do think that Tony went above and beyond for her, and for her to just basically call them Bush League, Little League several times and talk about the front office being unlike any other she's been at. You know, they were a little bit more upset with that, obviously. But, yeah, we'll just leave it at that, man. Eye of the beholder. I don't know. Again, this is a big deal because these are two talents that just came from AEW. And not just any name. These are big names, man. Jade Cargill, undefeated champion in AEW. Until defeated, who was that? Chris Statlander, I believe. But a major run for Cargill and obviously CM Punk, one of the biggest names in the industry. That's it. That's it, man. We're already going way over the length that this was supposed to be. We just put up over an hour of content a few hours ago. This one looks to be around the same time frame. That's it. A little later tonight, the SmackDown review. I'm not even going to go over the preview. Roman Reigns is supposed to be on tonight's show. So, you know what? Hold on, guys. What I'll do for you is I'm actually going to go over, I don't care how long this is going to go. We're going to check out the preview because I truly don't know what they have in store. That's probably a good thing. But we're going to find out right now together. Yes, Roman Reigns is advertised and he is supposed to be on the show tonight. They're promoting Roman Reigns' return to begin his road to WrestleMania. Is he going to rewatch Seth Rollins try to get Cody Rhodes to wrestle him? Cody doesn't even know his story anymore. That's a great build, HHH. Logan Paul's journey to SmackDown following the Rumble controversy. So we'll see Logan Paul and what they have in store for him. He did not look good after the match. He was conducting an interview, slurring his words. Looks like he's good enough to be on the show tonight. Bayley is going to declare who she will challenge at WrestleMania after her Rumble victory. So she teased and teased and teased Rhea. Nia said, "Don't you dare." We'll see what she says tonight. And Cody Rhodes comes to SmackDown after his Rumble victory. Okay. So there you go. Cody Rhodes is showing up tonight to SmackDown. So I'm guessing they're going to make Roman versus Cody official, right? The Seth Rollins thing was just to buy some time. Maybe HHH truly thought that was a good storyline with Punk being injured. We're going to call an audible and we'll give everybody a plot twist. But all it did is damage the story. You would think that that's all he was consumed with, is getting back to this moment for that title against that opponent, Roman Reigns. And then to just say, I don't even know my story anymore. I don't know who I want to face. Let me think about it, Seth. That ruined a lot of what story was even left. Hopefully tonight they can get it back on track. That's the preview for tonight's show. You guys interested? Well, that's what you got. I don't know what to tell you. So they're going to put on the show, and BC's going to do the review immediately after, and you guys are going to have it in your sub boxes ASAP. After I'm done recording, quick edit, popping that thing up, it'll be in your sub boxes. For now, until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we are out. BC saying check you. Peace. Go long. Farther, come on. Super Bowl's next week, man. You gotta show us what you got. Go 100 yards. I got a power arm. I can throw this the entire football field. Man, you guys are slow. Go! Come on, how are you only at the 50-yard line? Be here all fucking day. Go, keep going! Don't look back yet. Not until you reach the end zone. All right, here it comes.